Hey everyone, today we are going to see gRPC deep dive, and this is the phase 3 of the networking. And here are the concepts that we are going to cover in this video today. What is RPC? What is gRPC? All those things. So let's get started. So, what is RPC? It is something called remote procedure call. So basically, what's a procedure to begin with? Let's say I have a function that takes some value and returns some value. This is a function, and let's say this function is somewhere in a machine. I don't know where it is. Let's think of this as a procedure. And what basically gRPC does is I'll use this function. I mean, RPC does is I'll remotely invoke this function without needing to understand the details about it. I establish a connection, and after that I remotely invoke that function and get my value that is needed. So that's basically RPC. And what's gRPC? G means Google. It is a framework to use this. In gRPC we have two things to remember. One is protocol buffer, and the second one is http slash 2 protocol. This has multiple features like multiplexing, streaming. These can't be seen in traditional REST APIs. And let's see why are we using gRPC, and what's the difference between gRPC and REST. REST uses HTTP 1.1 protocol, and this uses 2 protocol. In REST, we'll send the information in JSON, but in gRPC, it's binary data that is sent. And in REST, we can't stream data, it is limited, and it is quite slow because we'll send the entire JSON and get the entire response back. But that's not the case for gRPC. We can stream the server as long as we have a connection. And in gRPC we have a strong typing format, but in REST it is a little weak. And where we use gRPC the most? In microservices we use gRPC the most, and other features like chat, logs, and telemetry. Telemetry is basically how many clicks I have done, how many times I have refreshed, all those data related things. So basically, microservice is a server that is dedicated just for a single purpose. Let's say I have a big application like Netflix. All the logins are handled by a single microservice, and the uploads are handled by another microservice. In these cases, we use gRPC. So I explained why HTTP2 for gRPC, because we get multiplexing, flow control. We can control what to send and what to return, and we have compression and bidirectional communication. We can communicate in two sets. And there are four types of gRPC communication. One is unary, and the second one is server streaming, and the third one is client streaming, and the fourth one is bidirectional communication. We can easily give a simple interpretation for unary. We'll give a single request and we'll get a single response. And server streaming means a single stream of requests, and client stream is a single stream of requests. I mean requests and responses. One is handled in the server side and other is handled in the client side. And both of these together can be used for bidirectional communication. We have stream of requests and response. In REST, we have JWT. These are easy to set up in REST. In gRPC also, we'll use the same authentication support, but by default, we'll get TLS, transport level security, I think. And we can also implement other logics like interceptors. These are particularly useful in client side. And other auth validations logic, like if the user really has an authorization, middleware, all those things. So before going to the practical implementation, I'll give you a small recap. We have protocol buffers in gRPC, and these can be defined with the .proto extension. These are strongly typed, and it uses interface definition language, and we define everything as an interface here. Let's say I have a message and I'll give what value I need, and this is an interface for me. So basically, this is how you'll see things in this kind of environment. So let's get through a simple example to show how this works. To get started, you can go through the official documentation and install it, or you can just do a simple chat GPT prompt just to get the installation. You can also ignore these. shallow modules, submodules in the documentation. I prefer using the normal commands like this: npm install grpc js and the proto loader. I'll explain each of them in simple steps. So to get started, I created a folder gRPC node, and here I'm going to define the proto buff I have mentioned. So let's start writing a proto buff. Before starting, you need to define the syntax that required for the proto buffer. It is proto 3, and as I said, it is strongly typed. Do not ignore even the space here. If it is like this, it throws an error, and you also need a semicolon. So here we are going to define a service greeting, and in that I have two methods: rpc. Here it is giving an auto value. Let's say hi, and I'll send a greet request. One thing to remember: all functions and parameterized values that needs to be started with capitals, and it returns a greet response. And let us write the streaming too. Let's say I want to stream the logs from the query. I'm going to get, and it returns a log response, that too as a stream. And here we are going to define the messages. Let's say the greet request has a string. Let's call it name. So before that, let me disable my copilot. You can see the spaces are required, and here I have defined the greet request. We also need to the return response, that is going to be returned message greet response, and we need to define the parameter. It is equal to 1. So this is the value of it. If it has multiple arguments, we need to define it one by one, 1 2 3. This is mandatory. And let us define the stream logs we have. And we have a log query that is a string, and a log response that is a string. So we have successfully defined our rpc functions, and the procedure calls and the functions needed and the responses. And after that, now we're going to write the server for this. Give me a minute. Okay, now we are ready to go. So let us import the gRPC from the grpc.js and the proto loader from this. These are mandatory for everything. I am going to use the same in the client because these are in the same port. And after that I'm going to define the package. Let's call it package def, and this needs to be defined from the proto loader, and it needs to use a method load sync. And I have a greater dot proto, and it returns nothing. And now let us define the service. I mean, before that we need to define a grpc object. Using this we are going to use the functions inside the package, and let us use the main function greet, I mean the main procedure. And using the grpc object dot, and let us check what we have called it. We have called it greeting. And after that we have initialized a gRPC object greet. This can be used anywhere. Now let us define the functions we have in the procedure. Let us copy the greet request, and we have a call and a callback. And during that callback let us define the name, call dot request dot name. The request contains the name that is given, and callback null, and the message returned is hello. Let us give a simple dollar, and before that I think hyphens are anything. Let's add backticks. Hope this works. No. Okay, then I think these needs to be placed here. Yeah, and we got the greet request. We have this is what we defined, and we'll define the log query now. Or let us call it function stream logs. And what it has is a call, because we don't have callbacks in the streaming. And before that let us initialize the app name, or what we have defined in the log query. Yeah, we defined it as query, and we'll get that from the call. And let us set a little interval. Let's call it interval, and let's write some classic JavaScript interval and define it. add 1000, and let us have a count equal to 0, and let's go with the copilot given values. If count is greater than 10, remove the interval and end the call. And after everything, for each and everything, write the log count query. Now let us write the server and get it running. New gRPC dot server. I don't know why I'm getting this. Okay, now let us add the services we have defined. Add service greet.service, and we have greet request, and what's the function called stream logs. Have a defined capital? Yes, I'm wrong then. Stream logs, and for greet request I'm going to use the greet request I have written, and stream logs. After attaching the services, let us start the server. We can do using this server dot bind async, and here we have added the port localhost 551 is the port that it uses, and let us write the server credentials dot in create insecure. Okay, for now let us avoid the callbacks, and actually we don't need a server dot start because it is depreciated in the current versions. Okay, we have got our server now. Let us run the server and check if it is running. Yes, we have got our server successfully running. Now it can greet logs. I mean, you can use the greet request and stream logs. Let us write the client.js file now. Here we are going to use the same things we have used for server.js. Let's import these again here. Now let us call the greet object again. Greeting, I think, where it is. Yeah, it is greeting. Now let us write our client. That's the process. Instead, we don't write anything else, anything additional, and let us call the functions we have. Client dot say hi, and I'm going to send the name it is required, data bots, and we need a error and response handlers. And if we got an error, console the error, or else do this. And I think I have made a small error, and I just happen to know where it is. Yeah, now we got the error, and let us call the stream logs. And stream logs, we are going to send the query hello world, and we'll avoid the things related to it like callbacks, because we haven't defined anything else in there. Yeah, client dot. Yeah, we have solved that error, and let us print some messages on the front end. If we got a stream and it happens to have some data, let us take the data out and console dot the received data. And if the end message is received, it's an end message, so we don't need anything else. We'll just say the stream is ended. Yeah, now we got our client setup. Let's check for some errors. Node client.js. Yeah, we got an error. Okay, somewhere we have defined it as greeter, even though it is greeting. Let's check where. Okay, the client, I think I got this error. Greeting. No, we still have this error. Yeah, I already defined the constructor. Why do we need this? Okay, stream is not defined. Okay, yeah, now I understand. We need to write the stream client dot stream logs. This is the stream. Let's hope we don't have any errors this time. Yeah, we are going to receive some logs. The server doesn't implement the method say hi. Where have we defined say hi? Okay, I think we need to restart our server. Yes, here we can see the name we have, hello dollar name. I think Okay, here we have some errors. Let's ask our guy. Okay, I just put the dollar inside. Let us keep this outside and let's call the client again. No, no, we need to restart the server again. Okay, our server is restarted. Yeah, we got the hello data bots message and haven't got the receiver log. And let's check where the error is. And before that, let's end this. Okay, let's see what's happening for the stream logs. On data. Let's see why this is happening. Let's go to the root of it. We'll get the log response and the string log is returned. And let's check our stream log returns. Our stream log takes a call and takes the query out of it. And we have the constant count is 0. It can't be changed. Let's keep it let. And what we need really here is while writing I mentioned it is a message, but in general the response needs to be log. That may be the reason. Let's call the server again and check if this works. Yes, here we have the logs. And as you can see the count is not getting updated. So what we're going to do is we're going to count plus plus. Let's stop the client and the server and restart them again. Here we go, we have the real-time count here. And this is going to end at 10. Yes, so this is what you can observe from the video. And this is the implementation of a sample gRPC application. And here we have seen two things. One is unary for say hi. The function took a name and gave us a message. This is unary communication, and this is the server communication we have seen between client and server files. This is another one. And streaming. where I sent a query and got logs. The flag here is end to end the conversation, and data is what we fetch from it. You can go through the official docs to understand more about the gRPC features, or else you can go through the tech basic coverage GitHub repo to understand more about this. This repo is going to be in the description. Please go through it and understand what's happening, and also remember that there is strict typing in gRPC. What I define for the log, the response, the request, all needs to be sent in the same manner according to the protobuf. We can have multiple protobufs based on the requirement. So this is about the gRPC example, and in the coming phases I'm going to show other things related to gRPC, where I'm planning to make an end-to-end video of an application that uses gRPC with some front end before completing this module. Hope you understood. I also pushed the phase 2 readme on the OS and other models. And if you really want to use it in the React front end, you can use the gRPC web. You can install it and use that. And if you are a REST person, there are also other implementations that can give you an edge to use REST. And we can also generate the buffers on the front end after establishing a connection. Yeah, these are the things we can do with gRPC. Hope you understood the video. Please like, share, and subscribe. This is channel Databots. Stay tuned for more updates. Thank you.